Yeah, exactly.
Minutes are starting now.
Okay.
Katie, Ed Murrow, Walter Cronkite, and Dan, pretty heady company. Do you find the rich history at CBS at all intimidating?
I think it's something I'm so proud to be a part of. Of course, it's a little daunting to be following in those footsteps, but it's also thrilling as well. And I remember meeting Walter Cronkite for the first time. I was at Saks, which was near NBC, picking something up, and I saw him at a counter somewhere, and I was like, Mr. Cronkite, so nice to meet you, because I was so freaked out. But, you know, they're really amazing people who've come before me, and I just know that I have a huge responsibility to uphold the standards that have always been part and parcel of CBS News.
Mm-hmm. And the new logo says it all, CBS Evening News with Katie Couric. What is this show going to look like? Is it going to be kind of a whirlwind look at big events of the day? Do you want to focus more in depth on just a couple of issues? What's important to you when this newscast launches?
I think the most important thing is that we're going to have flexibility. You know, obviously some days are going to be chock-a-block full of developing stories that are happening then and there. Other days, I think we can give greater perspective and context to complicated issues that people may hear about but not really understand. Most people don't really understand what stem cell research really is or what's being done at the private or state level. Most people don't understand the worldwide implications of North Korea firing nuclear missiles. Most people don't understand really what's going on in Iran and what the U.S. approach is vis-a-vis foreign policy with that country. And I think there's a way to not oversimplify complicated stories, but make them more understandable and accessible to the average person. Oftentimes, I think newscasts are done for policymakers and other journalists who follow every nuance and every machination of a developing story. And there's a way for us, I think, to say, wait a second, why does this matter? Why is it so troubling for Iran to develop nuclear weapons when so many other countries do? And what is that nuclear non-proliferation treaty all about anyway? So I think that we can help dissect issues in a more palpable way that will lead to greater understanding by our viewers. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's been some comments about there being a 40-year format in place. Have you played any part in reworking the format for the evening news?
Well, I've been in television news since 1979, and I have to say, with very minor tinkering and sort of, I think, a greater sense of humanity that Bob Schieffer has brought, there's been very little changed in the evening news broadcasts. And they're still quite formulaic. And I think that even small changes will seem fresh and different and new. I don't think we have to blow up the whole thing. I think we just need to tinker with it slightly and retool it. And that people will appreciate if we spend 3 minutes talking about some of the most pressing issues of our day and explaining them, and forgoing a minute 15 spot on, you know, mortgage rates or a Capitol Hill story that may not be that important or relevant. So I think slight adjustments will really bring about a fresh feel. And of course, you know, I'll bring my own sensibilities and style to the broadcast, which I think inherently will make it seem a little different as well.
You are not only the anchor of this newscast, you've also been named the managing editor. What is the importance of being the managing editor? Some anchors don't want anything to do with the actual sort of making of the stakes. They just want to read the news of the day. Why take on that added role?
Well, having nothing to do with editorial content, it just simply isn't in my nature. It wasn't when I was at the Today Show. I had a big voice in some of the things we covered. And it's very, very important to me that I'm not the only voice, and I'm not even the ultimate voice necessarily, but I'm an important voice. And I want to be heard. I'm going to be very much a part of the creative process, discussing how we'll approach certain stories, how we'll do certain things, how we might be able to enlighten viewers in a better, more meaningful way. And clearly, I'm not a reader. I never was. I'm a journalist. And that was extremely important for me.
Sure. How can CBS and its affiliates better dovetail their efforts to better serve the viewers?
Well, I think all local news is national. Much of local news is national, and all national news is often local. So I think there's a way for us to work together more. If there are important issues going on in certain places, and it's kind of a microcosm of a bigger national issue, then I think we can say, hey, you guys, we're working on a piece on immigration. We're doing an overall piece on businesses and immigration, what the impact is. Maybe you want to profile a business in your community, and together we actually look like we're talking to each other, that we're the great organization we are. And I'm hoping that you all will be able to tell me, hey, there's a really good story going on in our community, and we can pay attention to that and bring it to folks on a national level. So I think, you know, sometimes organizations end up being very separate, and there's a way to integrate all the hard work we do, and the viewer will benefit from that. So I'm hoping to have a much closer relationship with people like you, so you can tell us about trends that are happening that might become national stories, and we can help you tell national stories in a more local way.
So synergy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh. Synergy.